What were we saying, Matt?
Said with everything going on, I haven't. The last time I've truly left the house was February 24th.
Oh my goodness.
Other than that,
you're definitely fine being an introvert, aren't you?
yeah. Other than that, I ran out to the Warhammer store for 25 minutes, and the other time I ran to the grocery store right as the governor declared everything to be closed.
Yep. And Neil, you said you're working, right? Healthcare professional.
Yeah, I work in a hospital, so just having people cough in my face all day. It's awesome. So.
Is that the new
It's
Ren
great.
4 greeting? Is that?
Just cough each other's face.
No. So far, no cases in my hospital at all or anything like that. So let's hope that is actually the case. So
good. I'm also working at home. Thankfully, I guess I qualify as an ambivert, so I can do introvert and extrovert. But sometimes I can't control which is which. So, like I said, I've gone stir crazy about twice. Been about 2 weeks, but thankfully, the saving grace is what kept me sane is Animal Crossing. So, welcome to the new Strength Hammer Animal Crossing podcast, everybody, where I talk about Animal Crossing. Matt and Neil just roll their eyes and wonder why they're friends with me still.
I have no idea what this is. It's before my time.
It's the best video game ever.
It's a little bit of an exaggeration.
Kids and their Animal Crossing.
Game of this. It's game of the century already. Come on, solid. It came when we needed it most.
That's what she said.
Well, yeah. So it is Wednesday, March 25th, right? Yeah, March 25th. I had it. I still got days in my head. So today's the day where I, Chuck, your host, should be at Adepticon right now. And it's sad. It's canceled. But I got Animal Crossing. So, I mean, I just saw Neil's eyes. I just saw Neil's eyes like, where are you going with this bit? Like, nowhere. I'm going nowhere. So yeah, this is the 4th episode of the Strength Hammer podcast. And yeah,
4.5.
Canceled. Well, okay, fine. The night. All right. You know what? I don't remember that night all that well. Why don't you guys talk about the first recording of this episode?
Whenever
it was the night Adepticon was officially canceled. Let's keep that.
Yeah, and like that had an impact. So, so our fearless leader decided to drink, 7-8 bottles of whatever the hell it was, and revealed the indomitable Chork. It was belligerently.
It was.
I don't even know. It's just screaming random Age of Sigmar stuff and Daughters of Cain. And
to be fair, it was his birthday, so we can let him off with that, I guess. But
true.
I forgot to put those two
the
together.
next day was anyway.
Happy birthday! Your convention's canceled.
Oh, I mean, you put birthday plus.
Well, we're giving another go
canceled.
Now, so.
Yeah, and this time there's no. I have nice, refreshing bottled water. I'm not drinking whiskey.
It's fine.
Yeah, because I got. No, it's not. I got very drunk, and I woke up the next day and deleted the files immediately. So yeah, episode 4.5. You are correct. Where really not much of a plan other than just to get together and chat and see how we're doing in our isolation, seclusion, fitness, how our Animal Crossing villages are doing.
I dropped some really good content in that episode. I forget what it was, though.
I'm sure you did. Like I said, I'm sure everyone was fantastic.
Top shelf.
Some really good brush for hire commercials going on there.
Yeah. We did a lot of that. Yeah.
Yep. Sean was on, our sponsor who's never paid us. Yeah,
At this
so
point, it's the thing. He's never going to pass.
no, he's not. Now that he's officially a creature caster,
Content creator.
content.
Contributor?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it is. There it is. Yeah.
he's part of their club.
The
So,
creature
he's-
caster content person, or the CCCP. That's
he's too good for us. But Matt, do you want to give another commercial?
yeah, sure, we can do it. Yeah. Come on down, give us a call over here at Brush for Hire, where we don't smell like horse poop like those other people that paint your models. Brush for Hire. Who are you? Some sort of invalid? I'll paint them for you. Bring them on down.
Oh, I feel the ones on the deleted episode were better.
Well, I'm trying to branch out a little bit. You gotta plant some seeds. Warm up. Exactly.
If any come to mind, any of them at all come to mind while we're talking, just talk over us, and we'll
We'll get there. We'll do some at the end.
Yeah,
I do have half that episode still recorded, so even though Chuck's deleted the files, I have saved them for posterity.
There is no posterity to be had in those episodes.
Go into the vault.
It's the blooper reel.
Top men. Hold it. Anyway, Neil, let's start with you. I think you probably have the hardest time out of all of us because you do work in healthcare. So you are essential. You are working, but you also have kids. So imagine life is pretty stressful. So how's the hobby been, specifically?
Hobby has slowed down considerably when I am home. My wife does work from home. She is a college professor, so she is juggling trying to teach 2 kids and trying to teach college students, sometimes all on the same day, while my dogs are running around and crapping on things and everything else. So by the time I get home, I gotta kind of help out with that a little bit. Which is to be expected. So hobby has come to a screeching halt over the last about 3 or 4 days. But luckily, outside of that, my fitness, I have ramped that up a little bit. Like you said, I do work in a hospital. So even though we don't have any patients right now with the virus, there's always that opportunity for somebody who's not showing any symptoms to have it. I am a person who does have asthma. It's a relatively, I guess you could say, mild version of it, but it still puts me in a very high risk category if I did contract that disease. So the way I am trying to combat that possibility is to kind of work out and try to get my lung capacity up as high as I can. And I think that's probably a good message for everybody out there right now is if you are stuck at home, there's even with kids running around like Lord of the Flies and the dogs pooping over everything. It's got to be 30 minutes at home. You can do some push-ups, do some sit-ups, some air squats, get something in. Try to work on your overall fitness because that will help fight the disease. So, yeah.
Gotta stave off that case of the nerd lung you got going on there.
That's right. That's right.
And if anyone needs any ideas on what to do as far as fitness, I mean, there's plenty of stuff out there. If you're looking for an average level of how to work out, on my Twitter and Instagram, I'm putting up daily workouts Monday through Friday to help people just get an idea to this is what you can do that will make you sweat and get the lungs working. So if you just don't want to run or you don't have any weight equipment or anything and you need something to do a little bit more CrossFit level, but you can definitely jump on there. And then after you do them, you can also private message me, as some have, to call me sadistic. So it's all good. It surprises me, Neil, that you're that Amy's having issues, because she pretty much took care of the entire show at Nova last year, so she can handle a room full of 100 nerds playing Warhammer. I can't imagine 2 kids and a couple dogs and you is too hard to handle.
Oh, you have no idea, Chuck. It's negotiating with terrorists.
Oh boy!
Yeah, and then they hold all the cards.
Matt, how have you been with hobby and fitness through all this lately?
Well, again, so since I administer job protected leave, um, my workload has shot up through the roof. So on top of I haven't worked as much as I have right now as I had since I was going through college. Um, so so we did that, and then as far as hobby goes, over the weekend, I got in 8 games thanks to somebody's little campaign they have going on here.
It's on hold. He put it on hold. He's
Yeah,
being good.
which I can't tell how grateful for I am right now. um, but yeah, so as far as that goes, that's basically been my life. Get up, go to work. Well, stumble into my second bedroom, log on to work, log off to work, eat, go to bed, rinse, repeat till the weekend. Wake up, play AOS, go to bed.
Yeah, you've been on a grind. Has the fitness been impacted at all? 'Cause I know you were doing good losing weight. Still kind of maintaining at least.
Yeah, like I said, there hasn't been any gain or anything like that. One of the nice things about being work from home is it's a little bit easier to have access to lower calorie food. You know,
True. True.
I've been having one of the staples that I got was oatmeal. So I've been having a lot of oatmeal in the morning. Um, Increased my water intake even further. Um, yeah, like I said, I mean, there's been no gain. But like I said, once work dials back to normal, whenever I can punch out at my normal time, I can then just go downstairs, hit up the treadmill for a half hour or however long I can handle it, and work my way up.
No, I mean it's always a good thing to keep in mind. I mean, if you're not going backwards, you're still progressing.
Yeah.
I mean, maintaining a weight is hard to do as well. So it's good. Glad to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things is I always heard one of the things that I heard a while ago that I always keep in my head. If you're not losing, you're gaining. So basically,
Mm-hmm.
and again, in this situation, not gaining for me is technically losing. So we'll call it a neutral win for now, a minor win in AOS terms.
Ooh.
And then of course for fitness, you always got Kegels, so that's
That's good. That's good. For me, it's been weird. My hobby definitely ramped down. Um, and it wasn't. I don't think it's because like Adepticon being canceled. It was just finishing the Slash project took a lot out of me because I was the highest level painting I've ever done from what I can tell of myself. And then just I painted a couple of Daughters of Cain models, converted Hag Queen, Avatar of Cain. But I don't have a need to rush Daughters of Cain, obviously, because I have so dang much of it. I did pick up a Drukari army from a club swap sale day where I managed to sell a bunch of old 40k stuff and then walk out with an entire army of 40k stuff. So, I mean, it's like just like you said, Matt. I mean, I didn't lose, so guess I'm gaining, right? But I don't know. It's prime black. I might paint it. I might sell it. We'll see.
if you put a nice gloss in there, that's a good base for color shift.
Ooh, are we gonna get into that? Is that what this is called?
I've
That's
never
what this
been
is gonna
out of
be
it.
about.
I mean, that's
Hot take: color shift is terrible, and I've barely seen it used in appropriate methods. I've seen it used once as a smoke effect you showed me, Matt.
yeah.
And that was really nice. Outside of that, it's nice on cars if you're 16.
Well, so again, assuming that you're not lying to me, you liked it for the smoke effect. You
Yeah, I did
liked
like
it
the smoke
for
effect.
the prismatic palisade.
I don't remember that one, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, and the the swirly bits for the Celestin Prime.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was pretty good.
Okay.
So like
Swirly bits.
the
I suppose the spiky ones.
if it's a magical thing, it looks good, or if it's an
Yeah.
imperial thing, it looks good. If you put it on a Maw Crusher,
It looks amazing.
no.
No.
I love that
You
Maw
heard it here
Crusher so
first.
much.
If you put color shift on a Maw Crusher, Chuck will hate your model.
No.
I think I might have to pick me up some Teclis. That's
I'd be curious. Model could use a little bit of help in some areas.
Hey, and I just picked up those fluorescent paints from Scale 75, so we'll go straight down the my Iron Jaw style with. We'll go with the multicolored code, and all the metallics can be bright orange. It'd be great.
Actually, in all honesty, doing Teclis is like a fever dream because he kind of gives me that 80s like psychedelic vibe going on with the Sphinx or whatever that thing's called.
Yeah.
The base. I could see that being actually pretty cool. Where you look at it and you're like, am I on a bad trip or is it supposed to look this way?
Or is that just painted like garbage?
That might be the only way to do it, actually.
I don't know, I have looked at the model more and more as more pictures come out, and I don't like him up on the wing. I want him more centralized, more secure. I do want to make his pose a little bit more dynamic, which looks, both those things look very easy to do, a little bit of green stuffing. So I'm kind of coming around. The one thing though I'm still trying to figure out is the face. And I think, and I know I've said it, this might have been on the episode where I got sloppy drunk, that will never be released. But the face is the biggest issue, and I can see why the face exists on the Teclis model as it is, because it's very reminiscent of the older sculpt. And if you look at the older sculpt, it matches very nicely. But you showed me a picture of Teclis in art before that model where he was a pretty boy. He was a pretty, fishy elf boy. And I was like, hot damn, he's back and he's looking good. And then he released the model and his face is that old Chinese grandma. I'm just like, I can fix everything, but I cannot fix that face. And those weren't my words. I've heard that online.
Hashtag head swap.
Yeah, face swap. I like the helmet. I like the
Face
helmet.
swap.
I do. Face swap.
Because that's such a good movie.
Yeah,
I want to take this face.
fantastic movie, classic. But we'll see. But I'm also in no rush to pick up that army. There's a few people out there like Martin Orlando and Bryce, who are going whole hog into this army, and I can't wait to see what they do. But I'm just gonna keep painting Daughters of Cain as I do. What were we talking about?
Oh.
We got off topic here. Oh, hobby goals and stuff. Yeah.
Well, we didn't really have a topic, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the topic today is just the chat.
Well, so Chuck, I don't know.
Dude.
I don't know, Chuck. You can't really touch on this topic, but since it won't be topical at the time, but it's in my mind now. So Neil and I are going to have a small discussion. What do you think is going to be on the reveals on Saturday?
I hope we get to see something. I'd like to see the second half of the elf line, the high elf line, even though I'm fairly well disappointed with disappointment's probably too strong. I don't know. It's just not for me. It's just it's a lot of the old stuff, but I've been over that. But I'd like to see what else they have coming for it. And but outside of that, maybe something that surprises me, something different. That's I hear rumors of giants. I don't know if that's gonna be here or what anytime soon, but the rumors and the portents are out there. I wouldn't mind seeing that show up, but we'll see.
Actually, Neil, regarding the Lumineth stuff, the recent, I guess, quote unquote, recently shown off the mage with the giant yak helm. What'd you think of him?
I think he's got a Spaceballs helmet on. That's what I think. But I you don't like him? Who made that man a gunner?
Like... Actually,
that happens to be one of my favorite movies of all time. So for that point alone, I should probably buy him and convert him into that. But no, I mean, I do like the pose. I like how he's kind of sitting up on that rock and everything. And but I just I can't, I see if I was to have this army, there would be a lot of head swaps, and in fact, I might even head swap them back to the old models with the rest of the new sculpt on some of them. So
I think,
yeah,
I think you can get away with some of that. I think you can get away with some of that for sure with like the old high elf heads. I mean, I put a bunch of them on my Ideneth army. Although I have to say,
I probably
I was not expecting to like that stone mage, whatever, as much as I did. Something in him really clicked with me, and I'm just like, I like it. And I think someone put it perfectly. Kind of reminds me of like a Mongolian style, like the Who, and just like that throat singing. I'm just like, yeah, something about it. I like it. So
all I know is I'm glad I don't have to paint the lady with the veil on her face. That's
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Have fun with that, jackasses.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
yeah, that would be a challenging one. Let's leave it at that.
I mean,
and then we've only seen the head.
Yeah, if you weren't worried about competing, doing a painting competition, you might be able to get away with just doing like, whatever contrast light blue to get just the color of the veil, and then maybe do a watered down flesh tone to just have the flesh and the blue in there a little bit. I don't even know. I don't want to think about it. I'm sure Vince will eventually do a demo or something.
Vince will save us all. Well, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Continue on with your speculations of the release.
That's all I got for my side of it, Matt. You got anything that you're wanting to see?
Well, yeah, it's not necessarily what I want to see; it's what I think I'm going to see. That's the tricky part. So, because I say with Lumineth, I think it's really cool that there's this army that harks back to the world that was. I'd love to see humans and dwarves get the same treatment. So I have a feeling we're going to see them this weekend as opposed to next weekend. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to try and do a little bit of everything in each show, or if they're going to be like, this Saturday is AOS and next Saturday is 40K, or vice versa. I
imagine they would give a little bit of both.
I kind of hope they do a little bit of both because, I'd like to see something both weeks. But at the same time, if they do AOS first, I'd be fine with that because then I don't have to worry about next week.
Yeah, well, let's not forget, Matt. You do care a little bit about 40K, like the tiniest amount, like me. Like you care about the lore, so like you have that little hook in you, no matter what.
Yeah. Again, I don't. It's not pertinent to me, so it's like, oh, that's cool. Move on with my day. But okay, so
fair.
I think we're going to see the rest of the Lumineth. I think we're going to see the last announced Warcry warband. I think we're going to see I think we might see, I bet, no less than 3 Primarchs.
What, Matt, if you had to... So let's say nothing in the rumors. You can't pick anything that's been in the rumors, anything like that. What is... Yep. Let's say they put a twist, coronavirus twist. This is all sucks, so they're going to throw something in that's just going to, dazzle us at the end here. What do you think that they could possibly throw in AOS-wise that would dazzle us, in your opinion?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy right there. The Lumineth is a chaos army.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
What a twist.
From my what I I would love to
It's
see
actually
Malarian.
Slanesh mortals. That's
Thinking more along those lines, though, I think Malarian's elves, if they threw some kind of hint in there at the end of that would be amazing. I'd really be kind of shocking, and I'd be really looking forward to seeing what that was.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Just hanging on to the Lumineth. I know one of the big back and forths is will Tyrion be in the Lumineth? What do you think?
Yeah, it'd be certainly an amazing drop at the end. I'd love to see it. I have my doubts.
Yeah, personally, I wouldn't want to put money down on it either way, but I would lean towards no. But I would want yes, because I would love to see some sort of rules of Tyrion and Teclis interacting with one another. I know years and years ago, like whenever AOS first came out and we were talking about armies and everything, Chuck and I were talking about having Tyrion and Teclis be like one war scroll.
And this was before I became a playtester, so I was speculating wildly.
No. This, like I said, years and years ago, where like at the beginning of the round, you could do something like roll to see if they were fighting or not, and then that would determine like what spells they have access to or what special rules are activated. Or like if you had to move them apart from each other or if you could move them closer. So
it worked like the Geminids.
Yeah, I would say that has probably a 2% chance of happening, but I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't save that for like a later date or like a second release or something. But at the same time, it's possible. It's certainly possible. I haven't seen them put out a lot of centerpiece models all at once, though. I don't think. I don't know if you guys can think of anything where they came out with more than one giant centerpiece model for an army at a time. I don't know if I can think of that, but.
Huh.
This is riveting radio here.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
think.
Yeah, I mean, Fire Slayer's got none. That's.
They got the magma draw.
Oh please, it's a tiny boy. It's a tiny boy.
It's for tiny little people. So.
Put that right between Alariel.
Just rebuild your god, and you'll get him as a centerpiece. That's all you gotta do.
There you go. Yeah. I'm trying. Listen, I had 8 games with them last week. All right.
Should have had 9. I mean,
they went a lot better than the ones that Ren 4.
I had 9 total. Oh yeah, I got more wins last week than I have in my entirety at the Ren 4 tournament. So that's
okay. How many games were 1,000 points where you used Gotrek?
All 9. That's
there you go. So was it Fire Slayers winning or was it Gotrek winning?
Oh, it was Gotrek. So the first game, game number 1 was actually Gotrek versus the 1,000 point list I put together for Morgan to use with her Iron Jaws. And
who's Morgan? Just for the audience clarification.
Morgan is my girlfriend, long-term significant other. We actually changed around a meeting engagements list where essentially you just have to capture the middle point, and he wiped out the entire army as soon as it was on the board.
Oh man,
it was it was.
See it.
I was telling her she loves her Maw Crusher, the Maw Crusher with the color shift, which everyone loves except for Chuck. I told her flat out, I was like, okay, these rules are going to sound made up, but I promise you. Like there.
That's how you always introduce Gotrek to the a person who's playing for the first time. Like, these are all going to seem like they're wrong, but I'm going to show you they're right.
You have to, because she's like, okay, well, I got 1 hit through. That's 3 damage. I was like, it's actually 1.
No matter what you do. And I'm going to go ahead and save it now.
And I get a 3-up on that. Oh, and I got it.
Ooh, that's a clutch 2-up roll right there, Matt.
Oh, you know how he has 2 wounds left. Oh, I'm gonna attack again.
He took down 1,000. I was playing a 2,000 point game, and I was dumb enough to get my very mobile Caradron Overlord force right up against him, like round 3, and he took out 1,000 points of Caradron. I think maybe 2 turns. I think maybe I did put 2 wounds on him. I did get 2 through.
Wow. Well, that was a lot of shooting, I assume.
So because he's only a 5 wound model. Oh no, he's not.
No, he's a 8 wound. Yeah,
he's 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I asked him. It's like he only has 5 wounds, right? No.
I imagine like KO versus Gotrek would be like warm butter in a fucking wood chipper. Like,
oh yeah, it was not good, not good at all.
Man.
Yeah, we in a 2-up save. Oof.
I hope that eventually, if they ever bring Felix back into the mortal realms, that Gotrek ever finds him, they put a model out for him, and it's like he's a 3 wound, 6-up save, but he can shrug all his wounds to Gotrek. So he's like this pitiful model, but just won't die because Gotrek just eats all the wounds for him.
No, Felix would be his only weakness. So if you kill Felix, then Gotrek gets removed from the battlefield because he's whining. He's crying over there in the corner.
They're going to dig into Middle Earth, whereas if you have a Rohan army, and if you have all the names just blanked, the boy, I can't remember anything now. If Arwen, Chuck, remember that's. I always get Eowyn and Arwen confused whenever I can't remember names.
Eowyn is the human, Arwen's the elf.
So, if Eowyn is on the table and so is her brother, and she dies, he goes nuts and has to charge every turn and gets all these bonuses to combat. It's woof.
Don't shoot the sister.
So okay, no. So Neil, on to the next. What do you think? So we know from that the video that they keep bringing up the giant thing. I remember what they're called. But what do you think that's going to be about?
I would assume it's going to be a very elite army with very few models. I don't know how it could be otherwise, but I have no idea. Boy, I hope that they have some different kits out for it, so that you're going to see a whole lot of variation in them across the line. But I know they already have the base ones out there. Those are already packaged up. I can't imagine them getting rid of those. So hopefully we'll see like a character model, and that can be built a few different ways, like the Keeper of Secrets. That would be cool. And then hopefully they have some different type of sort of more specialized troops as well. That'd be my hope. But there's not a whole lot of range I feel like you can do with giants. I mean, they're big stompy giants, and the big stompy giants do what big stompy giants do. I'd like to see how they're going to differentiate them a little bit. So.
Well, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it like mirroring the Imperial Knight army that 40K got, where they have you still have the bigger models, but then you have smaller models that are still Imperial Knights, just so you can actually get some of that, get some models on the table. And I hope they give some sort of objective capturing thing like they did for ogres.
My problem with that thought is if I want to get an army of giants, or gargants as it is, I want them to be giant. I don't want them to be small. So.
Well, I mean, so if you left them as giants, you would have like a 3 to 4 model army that could potentially just be Oh, I put down my models. Oh, okay, I'll put them away. Thank you. So, it's,
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I think that's going to be one of the big issues, which I'm glad I don't have the job of balancing an elite army in AOS, because
I mean, you could always go the Noblar route, right? Like they've got something running around there that's small,
that's true.
but you know,
So I'm not 100%
who
sure
knows?
about the lore for giants. Um, um,
Can't be much different than orcs, right?
well, I mean, orcs have, well, they used to have goblins, and then that alliance seems to have been shifted away from.
Yeah.
um, so I don't know if there's if they have alliance with trolls or anything like that.
Yeah, the trolls are more in or Tragas at this point are more
Yeah.
in with the Grots, but they're in the lore. They have they have Baymat, which was that god beast, and he throws up all the his children. Right, it's very Greek mythology esque, and so that's where the Gargants come from, right? The sons of Baymat. So I think that's probably where they'll go with it. But
Maybe we'll get Bahamut.
so. Ooh, I doubt that. He'd have to be the size of your table. His base covers a 6x4 table. You just can't win.
I just think it's like his two hands and his head, and it takes up the 4x2. He takes one of the short edges. He could be the terrain piece. There you go. Could be just one comedically large leg.
Descending onto your army. That's what the Foot of Gork should have been.
Oh, that would have been hilarious. I'm still a tiny bit upset we didn't get the an endless spell that was a Foot of Gork.
Yeah. Missed the mark on that one.
Don't forget, Bahamut died during the Realm Gate Wars, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to fact check myself. So I'd be impressed if you got him.
I can't remember if that was.
No, then it could be his bones.
They woke up some.
Yeah, that
terrain
was
piece.
Yeah,
his rib cage.
Yeah, he was if you go back to the Realm Gate Wars, there's a battle Stormcast, and I think when Archean was corrupting the god beasts, the Stormcast killed him, so he wouldn't be corrupted. If you look at a map, if you turn it upside down, you can see the shape of a humanoid. It's creepy and it's cool, but yeah, he is dead.
Okay, so then now Neil, how about to put a ribbon on this? How about one ridiculously out of the arena prediction, just wild craziness.
I'm going to have one of these at the end as well.
Okay.
Just an army of halfling hot pots. How's that?
All right, you heard it here first. The half. Okay, what would we call them? We would call them the. I feel like we should call them something.
Once again, fantastic radio.
Culnarian.
Army of deliciousness.
Ankle dread Culnarians. There you go.
the halfling hot pot for our newer to AOS and maybe not played fantasy battles was just an amazing model of a couple of halflings, and they would throw liquid hot soup at people.
Yep.
Never a better idea ever formed.
My wild prediction is a Sigmar Emperor dual kit.
I mean 40K and AOS?
Yeah, you're going to buy one box, and you can either make Sigmar or the Emperor. That's...
You're going to be waiting a while on that one. I think my halfling hot pot army's coming before that one.
You ready for my hot take?
Yes.
I want this female Space Marines.
No, get out of here. There's
female Space Marines.
Yeah, you already got those a couple months ago. They're called Sisters of Battle.
I would love female Space Marines. I would love it. Now, I'm not talking about a whole army because the Sisters Battle are that army. But I'm talking just here's some female Space Marine sculpts.
That would be hilarious.
Mix them into your army, everybody. I love it.
Right after we finally got Sisters of Battle, you just released the female Space Marines that are just better than them in every. Bury the lead, G-dubs. Bury the lead.
That would be my hot take, and I would love it for one because I think it'd look cool, and two because I would enjoy the tears of some people who can't get around lore. Like, it's lore, people. It can adapt. It can change. Come on, Matt.
Yeah,
Lore
we
can
no longer
change.
have imaginary space lizards.
Yeah.
We had imaginary space lizards, and now we only have half imaginary space lizards. See? That easy.
You can't assume that the space lizard is imagined or real in 2020, Neil, okay? You can't just assume this type of thing. You need to ask them what their pronouns are.
Is this Schrodinger's lizard man?
That's right. It could be
Like,
lizard
anytime
women.
it's a lizardman player, you got to ask, are you coalesced or are you...
It'll be on their army list. That's all. That's
Oh boy, it's going to be fun. I'm glad with everything being canceled. Just
wow, you're glad everything's been canceled. Wow, what is
no in light in light of everything being canceled, I'm glad at the community's response, whether it's people in the community or Games Workshop, going ahead and doing this this multi-part reveal, doing free stuff on Twitch, constant hangouts. It's been nice to see. And actually, if you were planning on attending Adepticon as of recording right now on this date, I do have an email from Adepticon on what they're doing as far as refunds for the event itself. They got some nice options: donation towards charity, buying merchandise, or just letting it roll into your cart so you can go in next year. Check the email. I just skimmed it before this call, so I'm sure I'm messing up some of the details. And outside of that, there's also this hashtag Adepticon at home happening. It's a big group of us and Anthony, AOS coach, over on Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, really took the reins to help organize and herd all the cats for this little project that kind of popped up. Essentially, it's kind of take everyone who's doing content and streaming and just kind of make it into a network and say, hey, you have hours of free content going on all through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of Adepticon. I'm involved a little bit. I get to kick things off tomorrow at 10 a.m. Chicago time. Should be fun. It's my first time doing a live stream, and I'm doing it alone. And it's going to be either fun or it's going to be awful. Tune in and find out. Yeah. But if you check out Anthony Margot, AOS coach on Twitter, you can see the schedule. We're all going to help support each other and help point everybody in the right direction. So from one show to the next. There's also a group I'm a part of on Facebook called Adepticon 2020, and it's kind of it's a pretty good one, but they're really helping promote people who are streaming outside of this little endeavor. Also, vendors are still having their sales, so helping point people towards the vendors to help, make sure none of these smaller vendors that we usually see at these cons go under during this time when no one's really out shopping or spending money. But there's a lot of good coming out of this, and I think that even though it's a struggle and it's a weird norm right now, in the end, it's it might be a good thing for the world for what's happening. We'll see. Just take it a day at a time, but thankfully we're not alone. We're all in this together, even though we're separated. And if you get lost, you can just come join me on my Animal Crossing island. Because that game is fun.
You can get away from all your chores and paying your mortgage to go to a fantasy world where you have to do fantasy chores and pay a fantasy mortgage.
But it's cute.
It's the last thing I want to do.
It's cute.
Oh god,
Don't
I remember
understand how
I
cute
remember
it
playing
is.
The Sims back in the day, and like I was like, I'm making this guy, and this guy's going to work, and it's like, yeah, okay, it goes real fast, and he's home. And I was like, why am I playing my life when I could be living my life? I don't understand. And then I stopped it, and I never played the game again. But I don't know.
Sims
Sounds
is
a
not
little bit like that.
Animal
I'm hoping it's
Crossing.
not. Okay.
It's not.
All
It's
right.
not. It's much more cute. But yeah, I don't know. Opening up the schedule right now that AOS Coach put up, and there is actually the Strength Hammer Discord is going to be the official Discord connection for this whole endeavor because it was set up and we haven't done anything with it yet as a podcast. So I figured we could let people loose into it and let them get crazy and delete it later and reset it if we need to. But there'll be links online everywhere. But we got there's some hobby paint chats going on. There's some lore hangouts. Like I said, I'm doing a fitness thing tomorrow, which I'll have a giveaway. There actually one of the coolest things I think is going to happen is there's going to be a show where everyone has uploaded, hopefully everyone at this point has uploaded their army and display board to a shared Google Drive, and then it's going to be just showing off, to everybody, like, this is what the work people have put in. Now, some people aren't going to do that. They want to keep an army hidden or surprise for the next event. That's fine. I know I put my Slanesh up there just to, put it out there and kind of like, hey, I did this and feel good, and I want to share it with the world. So,
yeah.
But yeah, AOScoach.com, you can find the link pretty easily right now. So it all starts tomorrow. So if you're listening to this podcast, chances are we're well into the day. Because I don't know if I'm going to get this out tonight. But we'll see.
Yeah, you got to get that out tonight now, Chuck. You're up against the wall.
No. You say that, but I don't. Because our sponsor, Brush for Hire, hasn't paid us yet. But here's a word from our sponsor now, Matt.
Brush for Hire. What kind of poor person are you? Pay someone to paint that shit. Brush for Hire.
Brush for Hire. You base peasants. Go out there and get your models painted.
Oh man, we need to record some of those, actually, not necessarily for the show, but just for Sean to use.
Yeah, what was that? I forget I think another one that he liked was Brush for Hire. I do cocaine. Well, that's a good one there. Just that's what I should do. The next time we do go to a convention, I should just get like 5 shirts printed up that just has his logo, and then just a random slogan that has no bearing on actually painting with it. Like,
oh yeah, everyone's different. Everyone's different. Yeah.
Brush for Hire. Donate to your local food shelter now. Boy.
Well, gentlemen.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call a wrap on this one.
Yeah, it's not a full hour, but I think we've had fun chatting, and hopefully we've entertained people for a little bit. I could probably stretch this to an hour. I could just put 10 minutes of random music at the end.
Oh, we need 10. I could go. What do you want to talk about?
Brush for Hire. Commercials, go.
I don't know. I got 10 hours of that in there. Let's see. Let's talk about. I know. How about this? So, since I am terrible at building lists, why don't you both give me advice on how you go about building a competitive list?
Oh, boy. Okay. Chuck, you go first.
Okay.
Now, stop.
Take
time.
Okay.
Outside of, take as many witch elves and witch hags as you can.
That was not where I was going to start. Thank you, sir. I know I'm typecasted, and I'm fine with that, but that was not where I was going to start, and I would appreciate you letting me speak.
You can speak.
take as few Doradin models as possible.
That's a good idea. I should think about doing that.
Yes, but you still need to take at least one, and his name needs to be Godric.
Yeah.
Then take as many witch elves as possible and hag queens. No, I mean that's a whole subject for itself, but it's kind of that really interesting thing that I don't know if me and you share the same headspace all the time, Matt. Because you definitely strive to compete more than I do. I occasionally get a competitive bone, but it's kind of few and far between for Warhammer. I'm more about my passion, which, like I said, it's because I have my army that I'm going to play forever. It feels like so I'm just playing in that area, and win or lose, it's like I don't care because I'm playing my favorite thing. So it's definitely like a headspace thing, I think, for my part.
Okay, Neil, I know you do a lot of list tinkering.
I do tinkering with lists. I do like to be competitive. Um, I do like to think about being competitive. I am not competitive in that I do not win. But when I'm thinking about building lists, I can't do something that somebody else has done. So I just meta lists and stuff like that. I can't bring myself to do it. Not that I have a problem with it. I mean, if that's what you like, then knock yourself out. I have no problem with that. But for me, if I'm going to win, it has to be on my terms. So often I do not win.
No, don't worry.
But I do like to kind of come
with KO First Edition. I was the exact same way. Chuck and I played how many games with those that you just like. I put models down, I take models away.
Take models off.
And then we literally played one game with Clown Car, and it was like, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I have no problem with that kind of meta list building and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I just can't bring myself to do it. So when I look at a book, I look at kind of what grabs me with the lore first, and like for example, I play Khorne, and I know where the beef is with that is your multiple bloodthirsters, and they're piling in, and they're piling in 18 times, and that's all well and good, and I'd love to do that, and that would be fun for me. But for me, the way I'd want that to work is by playing mortals and watching the mortals die, and then building up all this blood tithe, and now all these bloodthirsters coming out. Now the problem with that is that those bloodthirsters don't tend to come down anymore until it's way too late. It's just not going to be a real feasible plan. So I've been trying to figure out, and I tinker with lists and just try and figure out how I can make a Mortals army in Khorne work competitively. I generally don't come up with very good ideas there. I usually think I do, and then I play in a tournament and realize I've not.
I hear you there.
I just love listening to you talk about Khorne, Neil, just because it's just like whenever I talk about Dr. Kane. I just want you to keep talking. I can tell you're still very passionate about the army, even though maybe it's not working the way you want.
No, I mean, I don't know that it's not working the way I would tweak some things, right? But if I had the magic fix thing stick, and of course, it would all be to my benefit. But in terms of powerful units and things like that, I will play Slaughter Priests until there's no more hero slots, right? I mean that's I don't have a problem with that, but it's a mortals army, right? So in my mind, I can justify something like that. Yeah, have I ever done 6 Slaughter Priests? No, but I have not been ashamed of putting 3 out there and in all the judgments. So the things that are costed well, I certainly don't shy away from that, but. Yeah, it's hard to make those Wrathmongers worth work since that big change to them.
What was the change?
But anyway, I don't. The change was they used to be able to make you, if one of them died, you could pick a model within an inch or 2 inches. I'm forgetting at this point, and you could make that model attack itself. Or something else. And so that was huge. But now they just kind of push mortal wounds and not a whole lot of them because you're rolling for them. So they got a 5+ save and 15 wounds. And before you know it, if somebody wants to make them go, and they're gone real fast. So, and one or two of them is not going to do the job.
I remember for one of the Champion War Scrolls for the narrative, Nova narrative 2 years ago, the wizard had at the very end, he had a spell that he could gain where you could cast it on a unit and the unit had to attack themselves. And like that was what I got the most like prior to the event. I got like, you can't do that, that's so broken, blah blah blah. But I left it in because I loved it so much. But it was also like, you weren't getting that until Sunday. So but I didn't hear any complaints about it after people played it. I got some other complaints about how he was a little too powerful, but
yeah. I think when you're talking competitiveness, there's usually one or two lists in a book, right? Those are the competitive lists. And what I try to do is find something that's not that could still hit 3 and 2. Well, that's managing expectations is the thing when you go away from those builds that are kind of proven to work in the state of the game as it stands.
Well, to boil it down to further elements, do you just look for really good war scrolls? Do you try and think of, roles that are necessary and what units will fit those roles? Or
I come up with kind of a shtick for the list, so whatever that may be, pick your poison. Maybe it's really fast and mobile, or maybe it's run and charge, or maybe it's this particular unit. Like I've run 30 Blood Warriors before, and as Matt has found, that's a tough little cookie to crack, but but then it always when you're doing something like that, it seems it's hard to really fit in everything you need to make the list competitive. So that particular, I usually wind up with some particularly hard units, but not enough to really push the scales to a win.
Yeah.
So, and the rest of the army.
Yeah, well, so one of the reasons why I was asking is because basically whenever a new army comes out or an army gets updated, and it gets updated on War Scroll Builder, I always see if I can just tinker around. And I was looking at Seraphon, and I'm like, I can't see a list where I get to bring all the fun toys. It's like, I want to bring a Carnosaur, and I want to bring a Stegodon, and a Bastiodon, and a couple of these guys, and the Ripperdactyls, and I'm like, oh, I'm at a 5,000 point army. Uh-oh.
What I think from what I've
3 Slan.
What I've heard of the Seraphon is that stuff's out there, but it's almost like there's different builds. Like you can have a build with this, and then a build with these other things, and a build with these other things. So you could play it all. You just have to vary your lists from time to time. You're just not going to get it all on the same list. Which for me, that's acceptable. That's like an acceptable thing because at least I'm playing with all the toys and all the cool toys that I like, just maybe not all at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that's really cool. I still give them high praise for that book because everything I've read about it is really neat, and that's all I'll say about that. I'm interested. I hope to see the books kind of get that treatment moving forward, because I guess not all of them can, because not all the armies have been around for 100 years and have 100 units, but yeah, there's a couple books, like I would like to see whenever they do it, and I know I've talked about I know Chuck and I have talked a little bit about Nurgle here and there. Whenever they do that, I'd like to see them, and they did that with actually the new book that came out, where they kind of like, here's a chapter, I forget what they're called, but like, here's one for the Flying Boys, here's one for the Demons, here's one for the Mortals, and I think it's cool. I personally, as an uneducated Nurgle player, I feel like it's a really good step. I don't know if it's enough, but I'd love to see it fleshed out. Love to see it grow, if it were.
One thing I would like to see. This is kind of getting away from your original question there, Matt. But into and I know they do most of these changes when they get new army books, is change the war scrolls. I think they do a good job of tweaking points and everything. I would just like to see maybe some more wars, and I know it's hard because I know they have like a lore for that unit, right? And so they want that unit to play as it's kind of towards its lore. But like in the case of like a Wrathmongers, boy, I wouldn't, yeah, I know they don't have any armor on their chests, but giving them a 4-up armor save would make them a little bit better. Make me want to play them a little bit more. And if you've got a 4-up save ironclad that's basically a flying tank, which probably should be a 1-up if we're being realistic. I feel like we might be able to sneak those Wrathmongers an extra armor save there too. So just don't be afraid of changing those war scrolls. Tweak them a little bit, because sometimes it's not the points that are the problem. Like with Wrathmongers in particular, I look at those guys and I'm like, well, boy, I'd like to see those cheaper. But from that aspect of things, it's just like, well, you can't really push them too much cheaper, right? Or
right.
I don't know. Then you're getting close to Blood Warrior range, and why would you take that? And so it's sometimes I feel like it's better off to be a war scroll change, even if it's a minor one.
I think that's one of the things that the advice that you always hear over on Vince's channel is like, you don't necessarily need to fix the war scroll, you just need to fix the points. And while I think that there is a lot of truth to that, I think there is a couple instances where maybe a new war scroll ain't gonna hurt too much.
Yeah. I think what happens sometimes is you have some lines that have a lot of models, like Khorne, ton of models, right? Ton of units in Khorne. And then sometimes you have, more elite, like your Karajan Overlords that don't have a lot of variation, right? So for those armies that don't have a lot of variation, I think points changes work really well. For the armies that have a ton of units, if you change points for one thing, then it kind of makes something else obsolete a lot of the time based on that other thing's points. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you have to be very careful about what the battlefield role is for this versus that and everything. I don't envy their job.
No.
I don't envy them.
Like I said, I mean,
it's got to be incredibly hard. The unforeseen consequences of small changes, I'm sure, are just mind-boggling. But,
Oh, yeah, that's one of the things we talked about, I think, in the one of the earlier episodes where we talked about me building those war scrolls. I did 14 war scrolls, and it took me the better part of a year. And even then, they weren't. I mean, they were somewhat balanced, but again, it was narrative, so they didn't need to be fully balanced. But yeah, I mean, to do an entire army to worry about allegiance abilities and stacking buffs and synergies and I definitely don't envy them, and I definitely I do appreciate them as much as analysis. As much as my analysis may be taken as criticism, it's not criticism. It's just analysis. Like I said, I watched the video with Ben Johnson on the Stormcast where they were talking about it, where he was saying you can work on a war scroll until they take it away from you, and you could still work on it even afterwards. I get it exactly, and that's kind of where my headspace always is, because I love doing that. Like whenever back in high school, whenever we were playing 3.5 of Dungeons and Dragons, I would just make classes. I made so many classes, it's not even funny. I found whenever I moved into where I am now, I found a notebook. It was literally one of the 3 subject notebooks. It was all 3.5 classes, and they were all so dumb. I had a full class called the Barreler, where he could summon barrels from the plane of barrels and throw them. And I had a whole class built around
it. The plane of barrels. Yeah, but the thing is, too, it's like, if you don't try and do that experimentation, you'll never actually get better. So, the fact that you've done that for your entire, since you've been into nerddom, probably is what made those War Scrolls so good, is because you at least had an idea of where to go. And I bet if you were to redo them again for next year, like a version 2, they'd be even better and more balanced, because you'd see how things were going.
Yeah, you gave me a little bit of a heart attack right there. So,
What?
The thought of redoing them all. That was
Oh, oh, okay. I mean,
well,
you don't have to.
well. So
I
after
guess.
after the event, well, I think Matt.
Matt
Uh,
Tucker.
yeah, I think Matt Tucker. He really likes where he has his champions now, and I'd be happy to give him some more War Scrolls, but he seems happy with what he has.
Yeah, but
Uh,
Bill Costello running the narrative at LVO likes what you did, so
that's true. It's true.
you can't get away from this.
Um, well, that's one thing that's funny is like, so it has been 2 years now, going on 3 this year, since those were made. And right after Nova ended, well, actually, technically before, but after Nova ended, I already started working on more. Like, I was going to do like a Disney Vault thing where some heroes were going to go away, new heroes were going to come out. It was just going to be a constant revolving door of like old ones going in, old ones coming out. Here's some new ones. Um, the one that I was most interested in building was going to be like this engineer that could build walls.
Hmm.
And if he built the same, like if he continued to improve a wall, you would like eventually get like a turret on there, and then a hero could sit in the turret and start doing range damage. And like it would go from just doing a like blocking line of sight to blocking line of sight and giving +1 saves and blah blah blah. Like I said, I never got it fleshed out though. I had a plan where what I was just going to do was make the walls that give you a variation of walls based on the size of the fences that you can buy on the GW website. So then that way, if you don't want to make walls, you can just go on the website. Okay, here, you build a picket fence.
Matt Hayward, make his ear great again.